In many enterprise landscapes, the biggest challenge isn't collecting data, but preserving its business meaning across systems. In this session, we explore how SAP Business Data Cloud innovations empower SAP Datasphere users to keep business top context intact, evolve existing tenants, and strengthen their overall SAP data strategy for what's next. A warm welcome, everyone, to today's live expert session. We are thrilled to have you join us. I have the pleasure of having KP Sauer, Senior Director, Data Warehousing, joining me today. KP is an expert in the SAP product management team, focusing on SAP Business Data Cloud and SAP Datasphere. He joined SAP in 2012 with positions in the Global HANA COE and Solution Management. KP is also an author of multiple books about SAP data warehousing solutions. And now, without further ado, over to you, KP.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Tania. So let me share my screen and then we can get this session going. I guess you can see everything right now?
Not yet.
Okay, let's give it a second.
Technology is acting up.
Okay. Is it visible now?
I'm afraid not. Let me have a look. No. Still not.
Okay.
Now it's coming.
Okay. Here we go.
Yes. Perfect.
Good. Finally, we got the technology going. All good. So, yeah, thank you, Tania, for having me. As you already introduced, I'm working on the product management side of the house, and we'll give you today an overview on what Business Data Cloud means specifically for users of Datasphere. And since we have this series for a couple of weeks now, this is the third session. So I had the pleasure of starting the session a couple of weeks ago. Last time there was my colleague Sandy Tran covering the BW modernization piece. And today, as we said, the focus is around Datasphere. So maybe at the beginning, a short recap on Business Data Cloud. I try to keep it short as we had a dedicated session on that earlier on anyway. But for those of you who are new to the topic today, just a quick recap where this is located as part of our overall solution landscape. So Business Data Cloud is really at the center of our portfolio. If you look at this solution diagram here on the bottom, you find the baseline services which we provide as part of the business technology platform. We're also leveraging a lot of those in Business Data Cloud, surrounded by our application portfolio, the industry-specific extensions, and of course, Joule is our AI co-pilot, as well as the different agents based on Joule, which we offer in the different line of business. So one question regularly comes up why we're doing this. And of course, AI is one of the main reasons why we provide a solution like Business Data Cloud with a strong intent to provide not only the data, because that could be exposed in other platforms too. We want to provide the data, including its business context, meaning the data which is usually stored as part of your process, as part of the metadata of the different applications. And this is one of the major reasons for Business Data Cloud. But also a lot of people ask us how we get easier access to SAP data like we have it in the past. So if we look at the different kind of systems we offer from an SAP perspective, S4 system data access was pretty much straightforward. And different cloud solutions, on the other hand, were not so easy to get access to. So really, we want to use Business Data Cloud also provide access across all these LOB specific applications and help provide that unified view across the different data sets to help accelerate AI projects, but maybe other analytical use cases you might have. With that, we also want to enable a faster time to insight so that your project turnaround times get quicker, and with one landscape composed of different solutions, you will see that in a minute. We also try to simplify the overall landscape here with this kind of setup. So if we look at Business Data Cloud, you see on the bottom the source systems, so the traditional SAP S4 systems, your SuccessFactors systems you might have, Arebas, the Concurs, whatever kind of applications we have in our portfolio is or will be available as sources for Business Data Cloud, where we follow the concept with data products and the aforementioned harmonized data models. So data products is really the core of what Business Data Cloud is about. That those are then leveraged by our Business Data Fabric layer, and of course on top being consumed by the different intelligent applications which we offer. So these applications can be analytical applications, they can be applications in the area of planning and simulations, in the future also partner applications, and what we already started with tech at end of last year is being able to define your own custom-built CAP-based applications on top of data products, right? So this is where you can work in a more, customized way also with the data provided by these data products. If you look at the Business Data Fabric layer a little closer, you find a lot of common solutions you might already know or already use today. So Datasphere is one, that's where we will focus on in the remainder of the session. Analytics Cloud, of course, also a very prominent cloud-based analytical solution in our portfolio, but also Business Warehouse, right? So we have a lot of Business Warehouse customers. We had the session last time with Sandy focusing on this topic, so I keep it short today on this end. What you also see is additional solutions which were not traditionally part of our portfolio, like Databricks or Snowflake. So Snowflake, we announced our partnership at TechEd end of last year. With Databricks, though, that partnership was established a couple of years back, and it was very prominently also at the launch event last year. So with these solutions, we offer capabilities we didn't have in our own stack, like the machine learning capabilities, some of the AI data science capabilities these platforms offer to extend the scope, specifically targeted in these cases here with the SAP Databricks as well as the SAP Snowflake. For customers who don't have these kind of solutions as part of their solution stack yet, so they can get that as part of a Business Data Cloud contract, or in the case of SAP Snowflake as a solution extension to our platform. So the Snowflake one, that's not available today as we speak. That will become available end of Q1, beginning of Q2. That's the current plan. We're currently testing this with a bunch of beta customers at the moment. But this is really targeted, these two solutions, for greenfield approaches, customers who don't have these solutions in place yet, but want to leverage those capabilities. Of course, there's a huge customer base out there who already leverage these solutions or other partner solutions as part of their existing landscape. For those customers, we offer what we call BDC Connect, so Business Data Cloud Connect service as part of the overall platform, which can connect to existing implementations of Databricks, Snowflake, Google, or Microsoft Fabric. So we made these partnerships also end of last year, the first one after Databricks, which was launched in September last year with the initial BDC Connect service delivery. We then followed up with an announcement and an agreement with Google, at TechEd, as I mentioned, with Snowflake, and a couple of weeks later with Microsoft at the Microsoft Ignite event. So these three partnerships agreements have been signed, and we are currently working on together with the partners and, as I said, with various customers to provide these kind of services soon. So the plan is, as I mentioned, Snowflake via BDC Connect for the first half of this year, end of Q1, beginning of Q2. Same for the SAP Snowflake. So for those greenfield scenarios from Microsoft and Google, this is for Google Q2 is the plan there, and for Microsoft Fabric via BDC Connect, we plan for Q3 of this year. Okay, so with that, let us focus on the Datasphere part, which should be the main part of our session today. So if we look at that architecture diagram, this was the very left box in this Business Data Fabric layer. And if we zoom into this layer a little closer, we find the different capabilities of what Datasphere itself offers as part of the overall platform here. So there you see connectivity at the very bottom, where we offer a variety of connectivity options to various source systems. So that can be SAP systems, on-prem or cloud-based systems. That can be hyperscaler systems, hyperscaler storage solutions, etc. So big variety there. And we offer different kind of data replication and federation technologies with data transformation capabilities in there. The core part is space management. That's one of the first areas when you start up a new system which you need to define. And I come to that in a moment because it's really a central piece on the Datasphere platform. We offer semantic onboarding where you can reuse existing semantics from a variety of source systems. Of course, administration and security. We offer different APIs and a command line interface to act and interact with the system from the outside, and also get automation on different tasks via the command line interface established. And the core pieces on top of the space management is then, of course, data modeling, where you define your different data models, your dimensions, your views, your fact data, which is then all presented also in the catalog as well as the marketplace. So if we now come to what this space management is about. So really everything starts in Datasphere with a space where you have different options as an administrator or space administrator when setting up these spaces. So on the one hand side, you assign resources, meaning storage and compute resources to your space. You can pick between two basic types of storage and runtime capabilities. So on the one hand side, that's what we already started with when we initially released Data Warehouse Cloud back in the day, was HANA-based storage and compute, also including elastic compute nodes, which we introduced over time, where you can use these additional compute nodes for peak times when you have Monday morning scenarios when everyone's curious about the latest figures, right? You can spin them up for those few hours. You probably need these additional compute resources and then spin them down based on your schedule, right? So to provide these peak scenarios and where you don't have to increase your baseline of the overall system. So that's for the HANA part. In addition, we introduced roughly 1.5 years ago the concept of an object store, including Apache Spark Compute, so meaning HANA Data Lake files and the underlying object store, depending on your hyperscaler, for the storage of data, and Apache Spark for transformation for the compute runtime. And between those two types, so HANA and Object Store, you can decide once setting up such a space. On the other hand, spaces can be assigned to a certain number of users, so you can define who needs to see or act or model in such a space. So only the members get access who are really assigned to a certain space. In a space, you define the different connections to your source systems, and of course, all the different models, flows, translation tables, etc., what you need on the metadata side, also live in these spaces. And yeah, last but not least, you can share your models with other spaces, so you can interact in a bidirectional way. So you don't have to copy or have different models which are needed in a variety of spaces. So that's where the sharing comes in. So if we look at a system overall, it usually starts, as I mentioned, with creating such a space and then connecting various sources you might need, where you can use different technologies like data flows or replication flows to bring in data. We have specific transformation flows to manipulate, to enhance and modify these data sets, right, coming in. And we offer task chains to orchestrate all of those flows and schedule it or run it in near real-time integration with remote tables. So there's a variety of things which can be done and set up here. Usually things flow in local tables, or you have a remote access to query data on the fly when you actually need it from your query or consumption perspective. On top of it, there are different capabilities with intelligent lookups and ER modeling capabilities. I won't go into details at this point in time here on these two, but just for completeness sake, those capabilities are there on top of your tables, so remote or local tables. You build out your model further with different dimensions you might have. In certain companies, you use different descriptions in multiple languages, so that's where the text dimension comes in. Certain artifacts require hierarchies or use grouping in the form of hierarchies coming either from BW or S4, which can be reused here. And of course, your transactional data usually is then modeled in sort of a fact view. Once you set these baseline models up, you can compose them towards your analytical consumption in what we call analytic models. So this is more or less your multidimensional structure, which you model with additional calculated or restricted key figures, with different structures you might have, and certain very specific modeling capabilities are built into this analytic model. And of course, since not all data should be visible to everyone, you have also the ability to apply row-based data access controls, meaning row-based security, which can be applied there before you finally, wrong direction, before you finally expose that for Analytics Cloud with a live connection for analytics. All of these different views or tables can be shared also with other spaces. So meaning from your existing space where you initially model these things, you can directly share that to other views and also receive, of course, a share from other spaces which you can consume and build or enhance your model surrounding it, or making it a contributing entity to what you are going to do. So this closes the loop between the different modeling activities. And so if we look specifically on the last couple of months, what we delivered as additional features, I just brought a short selection here. We had enhancements in pretty much all areas of Datasphere, various enhancements in the analytic model area. With financial time dimension, we delivered a data validation and a view analyzer framework, which are available to help you validate the data sets, the models you have made, analyze the views and the capabilities behind the scenes, right? So measure dependency graph to better understand how your calculated or restricted key figures are composed. Unit conversion is something which is well known as a conversion tooling. In the data integration area, we added lots of new sources, but also new features in areas like replication and transformation flows, and also in the orchestration area with these task chain and scheduling. We added a lot of additional capabilities. On that fabric layer with the catalog and marketplace, which we converged beginning of last year, right around this time last year, monitoring was introduced with a capacity dashboard and various other aspects on transporting was introduced. We also started integrating into our cloud application lifecycle management solution on a variety of topics, also for better cross-tenant monitoring and automation capabilities. Lineage was enhanced, that you can now really, from even BW systems down to the consumption in your analytics cloud stories, have an end-to-end data lineage across the stack. And we will enhance this also in other dimensions later this year. On the AI, we started a Joule Copilot early adopter care program, which is currently still ongoing. Hopefully, we have that ready as a capability very soon, in the next couple of weeks or few months. We introduced the knowledge graph capability and a few AI-assisted enhancements on the catalog side, on search, as well as semantic enrichment on the table and view editor, and of course BW modernization, right? So Sandy talked a lot about this last time, so I skipped this for our session today. So now that we've learned about Business Data Cloud and Datasphere a little more in detail, so what does Datasphere benefit from our business data in the context of Business Data Cloud? And there's a variety of aspects I want to go a little deeper in here. And on the one hand side, this is the whole concept of data products, right? So this is the first aspect. The second one is really also a lot of our Datasphere customers also have a history with BW. So as I mentioned, I won't go into all of the details, just mentioning a few highlights here. And with one slide I have in store. And the third one is really leveraging these new capabilities, which are part of the overall offering, or which can be part of the overall offering. It's not mandatory to use these components, but they provide some quite interesting functionalities. So if we look now at these data products, the whole concept is not completely new to Datasphere users. You might already know, if you already used the marketplace component in Datasphere over the past couple of years, this concept of data products, which we now bring in the context of Business Data Cloud to a new level. So basically, these data products are, of course, built out of data sets. So can be one or multiple tables or views as the underlying structure. Then, of course, there needs to be metadata and the semantics to describe the data product itself, right? So that we know that a certain key figure has a specific meaning. It might be attached to a currency because you do international business, right? Or it might have a unit attached to it, that it's like packages or boxes in your warehouse, or pallets or other usage of semantics depending on the industry you're in with your products and KPIs. In addition, data products need to be consumable, right? So they need to have an API in order to connect to it and in order to use it for consumption at the end. And last but not least, you need to find them. You need to be able to discover them in a data catalog, and that all of these qualities are part of the data products when we talk at SAP about data products. And this also goes a little further than what we offered with data products as part of Datasphere only, because there the consumption of data products was more or less restricted to be used as part of Datasphere itself and for further modeling and consumption within Datasphere, but it didn't have, for example, an API directly attached to the data product itself. This is one of the new capabilities if you want to compare those head to head. So if we're looking at a few examples of these data products, can be things like your workforce, right? So looking at your employees, can be general ledger, can be things like inventory data, or data which you bring in yourself from the outside, where you have maybe inflation data or interest rate data, which you might want to bring in and enhance your existing data models with in order to gain new insights on your data. If we now look at the way how these data products come, we have sets of data products which come out of the box as SAP managed data products. These are part of intelligent applications. This is more or less, let's say, the packaging and delivery on these data products, depending on where they come from. So if they come from an S4 finance area, you will find intelligent applications like working capital, which we started with, and additional others like people intelligence, looking more at success factors data. There will be in the future intelligent applications and accompanying data products from Ariba, Concur, and other line of business solutions coming. So that is the delivery mechanism, if you will, and the packaging as part of intelligent applications. Usually customers have additional systems which might not be part of a business data cloud setup yet, as for HANA systems which might still stay on-prem, and where you in addition want to provide data products from older ECC systems, BW systems, which you heard about last time, maybe with Sandy, or the example which I just made, right? Data you bring in from an outside third-party system or vendor which you acquired, right? Which you can also use now to create your own custom-built data product. Both follow these same rules and offer then at the end a bidirectional zero-copy delta share API, which you can use with your different consumption use cases. Can be those intelligent applications delivered by SAP, can be AI machine learning use cases if you want to use those data products with SAP Databricks or standalone Databricks, or in the future Snowflake and these other partner solutions, or just simply using it for analytics, right? So all of these use cases follow the same consumption principle based on these data products. So what else do Datasphere customers get in addition to what you already have with a standalone Datasphere system? And this is connectivity, what we already deliver as part of a standard setup, or options you might have there with the built-in connectors, the marketplace, optionally the open connectors or BW Bridge component, or just simply connecting external tooling to Datasphere. This is what you have independent of a business data cloud setup. But if we look at a setup together with a business data cloud, right, that's where you also get access in Datasphere to these SAP managed data products to custom built data products of any kind you might want to have, or as mentioned with these partner solutions, right? So data products being shared from SAP Databricks or SAP Snowflake, or in the future also from these other partnering solutions I mentioned at the beginning. They can be brought in into the context of Datasphere and modeling on top of that using the BDC Connect service. And talking about these partner solutions here, so if we look at this sample architecture, I picked the SAP Databricks as one example here. That's where you can share these data products in both directions, right? So can be shared from Datasphere to SAP Databricks, or could be also a standalone Databricks. Then the box here would sit outside of the Business Data Cloud stack, and then we would have the connection via BDC Connect. But the central piece really bringing both together is the cataloging solution. So in our case, if you want to share Datasphere artifacts via data products to Databricks, this can be done via the catalog in Business Data Cloud and Datasphere. If you want to share data, maybe which was a result of your data science exercise, and you want to reshare that with Business Data Cloud and the other tools, right? That can be done then also via the cataloging solution. And in case of Databricks, this is the Unity catalog, where you define then a delta share interface of this particular data product and share it with the other Datasphere components. Similarly, this will work in the future with your Snowflake. Right there, the component, if I'm not mistaken, is called Horizon Catalog, and would work in a very similar way, but that's not there at the moment. So looking briefly at the third additional option, as I said, a lot of the existing Datasphere customers also use Business Warehouse or BW4HANA in their kind of setups. You can bring the existing standalone BW system also in a Business Data Cloud setup. So as part of a private cloud setup that can be brought in, and then you gain one very nice, interesting feature, which we call the data product generator. I'm sure Sandy talked a lot about it and very likely showed also a nice demo. So I keep it short here just to mention that this is an additional capability which you would get if you bring in your BW or BW4HANA system as part of an overall BDC landscape, which you can now, where you can now use this generator to define your own custom-built data products and provide them in the object store, enhance it with additional connections or data sets you might want to bring into Datasphere, and create there for not only your custom built data product coming out of BW, but enhance it maybe with additional data sets you might want to acquire via Datasphere. So a very interesting piece. One additional aspect we also want to focus on today is what we call rewiring. Rewiring basically is the term we use at SAP to move your existing Datasphere tenant also as part of a Business Data Cloud setup. So the term sounds quite technical. At the end of the day, the majority of it is more a commercial change, right? So tenant rewiring mainly means bringing your existing contract you have with your Datasphere system into an overall contractual setup with Business Data Cloud. So it's less a technical change in that sense that it needs a migration or anything like that. Essentially, what it changes if your commercial contract is changed, it changes the provisioning mechanisms and the management of your life cycle of your tenants to whatever you have today into SAP for Me as the portal where you basically manage the tenant life cycle. So it requires a few prerequisites. Typically, that's easy to fulfill because most customers make that change on their existing customer ID and also want to keep the system in the data center where they currently are at. And if we just look at the current number of data centers, we already provide 17 data centers as of today on all the three big hyperscalers. So meaning we have 9 data centers on AWS worldwide, 3 on Google and 5 on Microsoft Azure. And we have a strong roadmap on extending that this year. So we have plans for more than 20 additional data centers across the different hyperscalers in a variety of regions. So that should fulfill the majority of the needs for these data center availabilities. So that needs to be checked before with your account team, right? That you fulfill these prerequisites, and then your hyperscaler will stay the same, the data center will stay the same, your tenant will exactly be the same, and even your URL will stay intact. So no change at all these areas, because sometimes I feel in discussions with customers as well as partners, the rewiring tenant term sounds so technical, but it's really not a technical thing. It's more commercial change. And so it really does not mean any migration of your tenant. Your tenant really stays the same. We don't migrate it between hyperscalers or data centers. That will stay the same like it is today. And we don't migrate any data or objects between those because it stays on the same system on your existing tenants, and even there's no downtime required, which is also an important question which usually comes up because the tenant stays the same, it's the same uptime. So there's the only change really what happens from a more technical perspective is the tenant lifecycle changes to the SAP for me portal, and from what it changes to, that depends a little bit on your current setup. So looking at the majority of our customers, they have provisioned their tenants on their own using the capabilities inside of BTP and the BTP cockpit. So in order to make that change towards Business Data Cloud, first thing is you need an active subscription of Business Data Cloud. So the contractual change needs to have happened already. And then once that is set up, you already set up your Business Data Cloud cockpit as part of your SAP for me setting. Then as a next step, your administrator on the BTP cockpit side can initiate that rewiring on their own. Right? So that is a self-service act which can happen at that point in time when you're ready for it. And once that request is received, we will do that rewiring. So rewiring from BTP cockpit to the SAP for me portal. Once that's done, as said, no downtime required. So your system operates as normal there. Then it will no longer show up in the BTP cockpit. It will be shown in the SAP for me portal for your further management down the line. Second option, that is then the case for all the tenants which were provisioned as a traditional subscription on Datasphere. So where SAP has provisioned the tenant instead of you via the BTP cockpit. So then also here, the subscription must exist from your standalone now to a BDC-based Datasphere tenant. And there, this is not a self-service in this case. This time, it's important to understand that you can set a specific date as part of your contract to when this rewiring will happen. So we will make the rewiring for you. Again, also here, no downtime required. We take care that your system uptime is there, but we make that rewiring so that the tenants are no longer as part of the SPC provisioning. We will move it to the SAP for me provisioning, and it will show up in the SAP for me portal then after that is done. So I tried to explain it quite well, but if you still have questions there, there are two nice blogs on the community, which I can recommend you for a more detailed read. One piece which I wrote here, the first rewiring of SAP Datasphere to Business Data Cloud, and my colleague Amar Naji, more working on the go-to-market side. He also explained this process quite well, more focusing on the commercial topics. And if you want to have a look at the detailed steps, really step by step for these two different use cases, then I recommend the help pages here, which explain these in a lot of more details. This is just a summary of what I took here for this slide. Okay, so now we covered the rewiring, and let's have a look forward, right? So what we're planning on delivering as part of Datasphere, but also overall on Business Data Cloud in the next months, quarters, and maybe even years to come. So similar setup like I had earlier on the planned innovations. So very soon we will have analytic model cross-based sharing available to you. Long-awaited feature here on the analytic model side. We also plan later in the year for multi-fact modeling and also features like display attributes, all features which help you be more efficient in your modeling. Data Product Studio, bigger topic. I will talk in a minute about additional sources. We will enhance and advance the topics on task chains, replication flows, but also on the ecosystem data center coverage, which I was mentioning, catalog crawling, capabilities will be enhanced with HANA Cloud very soon, but also S/4HANA and older SAP ECC systems that you can have data lineage across these stacks as well. Monitoring operation is a continuous investment topic on our side. New catalog features will come. Business AI, I mentioned it earlier, we're still in an early adopter care program for Joule in Datasphere. We will hopefully have a general availability of that soon. Additional Gen AI supported editors will become available, and a lot of enhancements are planned also in the area of BW. If we look at this overall from an Business Data Cloud perspective, then of course one of the core focus areas is provide additional applications, so intelligent applications, which come with these data products, right? So there's a huge pipeline available, which we plan to deliver this year in different kinds of line of business applications. So stay tuned there. There will be a lot of new data products and applications being available very soon. One of the core pieces we're currently working on, and the plan is here to deliver the first version in Q2 this year, is the Data Product Studio. I know we will have a dedicated session on that in a couple of weeks as part of this series here as well. And my colleague Tania, she will have very likely a nice demo there. I also brought a first insight already as part of this presentation here. So the plan is on the Data Product Studio to provide an editor, a component where you can compose your data products, right? Can be used for your custom built data products, but also our colleagues at SAP who are defining these SAP managed data products will use the similar kind of editor in order to define the SAP managed data products, so that they all come with the same qualities, are being built according to the same rules, and provide the same metadata, etc. So this is here the central piece, which will be embedded as part of the BDC cockpit. We define it, the design time, independent of a specific runtime, and you can define ownership there. Our plan is also not only including low-code kind of scenarios, but also pro-code scenarios addressing different personas. One of the key parts will be the ability to configure data products or extend SAP managed data products, building your own custom built data products and manage them. And of course, the management of data products means not only governance in a sense on ownership, domain ownership and workflows, but also provide like stable kind of versions of these data products, right? So to provide a kind of life cycle management, versioning around data products, since you have models and the metadata, they evolve over time and you need mechanisms to be able to manage that. Okay, above that, Gen AI is a huge topic across the stack, with knowledge graph technology already being used in a variety of places in the backend, providing access for Joule and the agentic AI use cases and workflows we are working on. BW modernization we already talked about. Enterprise readiness, of course, also with a new solution, that's always a big topic, not only expanding the data center coverage, what I talked about, but also observability, monitoring, making all of these processes enterprise ready. That's one of the core focus areas for this year, but also beyond that, because this will be constantly enhanced in a variety of facets. Datasphere, we looked at that and I explained the different areas in more detail. Partner ecosystem, right? So we already grew quite significantly from the number of partners and the quality of these partnerships end of last year. A lot of them were announcements. We will deliver, of course, these announced integration pieces this year, as mentioned before. And maybe there might be an additional partner here or there. You will stay tuned here on the usual events we're planning this year. Maybe we find the one or the other partner in addition joining this partner network ecosystem, which we established. And last but not least, of course, planning and analytics plays also a very central role as part of Business Data Cloud. And we will also have a dedicated session as part of this series on it. So I don't go into a lot of details there, but it's also a very important point on our roadmap to enhance the capabilities as part of the overall stack. With that, I also have a few further informations linked up for you here on this slide, where you can look at additional information. And last thing before we go into Q&A is there's a nice learning journey for all you architects out there becoming an SAP data architect, 2-hour course, which is free to start with, and get to know all the things around architecture in our SAP data and analytics area. So feel free to sign up here. You will get the information as part of the QR code, or if you click on the link on the respective slide. So with that, we have a couple of minutes left. And I think, Tania, Marlin, we can have a look at the Q&A.
Definitely. We really have some good questions here. First of all, maybe you want to unshare, so
yeah, let's do that.
We don't see the huge Q&A. Great, thank you. So let me start. Now, earlier, all data used to be accessed via BW reporting tool from HANA DB directly. Why do we need Datasphere when the data is directly being pulled from within HANA database, adding multiple layers?
So you can still use your BW based on HANA and integrate it and bring it with you. So in the scenario with Business Warehouse, Datasphere, and Business Data Cloud, you don't necessarily need to store it again in Datasphere. You can directly use those data products coming out of BW, right? So that is still possible. Some of our customers start into a modernization journey and might want to transfer certain data models into BW and further use the capabilities there for those, such a migration or move to Datasphere makes sense, right? But not in all cases. So might be you have a different use case or want to keep everything which is there still in place, which is fine, right? So this just offers additional capabilities for modernizing your existing stack.
Great, thank you. The thanks is actually thank you for being honest. Great. The next question is, Microsoft has Azure Fabric. What is the intent behind collaborating with Databricks when Azure Fabric also has the same?
It's at the end giving you choice, because not every one of our customers has Microsoft Fabric or Databricks or Snowflake. Some might have all of them. We also saw these kind of customers, but some make a choice on one of them, right? And imagine if we would only have the initial partnership with the launch last year was with Databricks, right? And then during the course of the year, we worked in the back end already with these additional or other vendors on contractual agreements to also include them, but we couldn't announce it. But we felt in these first couple of months already in discussions with customers, oh, but I do have Snowflake. I don't work with Databricks. We made a decision for whatever reason, which is all fine, right? But we want to use our Snowflake. And we told them, be patient. Hopefully soon we can come up with an agreement, which we finally did, announce the ticket, and hopefully within the next couple of months, we will have that in place also as a usable component, either with SAP Snowflake as part of Business Data Cloud or your already existing Snowflake implementation, just to take that one example, right? Could be similar to Microsoft Fabric or Google BigQuery. And as I mentioned, maybe another or additional vendors come into the play here to really offer you choice, because we don't want to force you to go with one vendor because just SAP has an agreement with just one vendor. We want to offer choice. At the end of the day, it's a mutual agreement. So it's not just only on us wanting to partner with many other companies. They also need to join us or have the intent to collaborate on this. So that's why it sometimes takes longer, but we're working on additional ones, hopefully to see them. If not, I think we already offer a quite big variety across the big players in this area.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this clear answer. Then there's a question about the free trial, because it has limitations regarding integration. Is there any way to get the integration able to test with third-party solutions?
Yeah, as you rightly said, currently in the free trial, there are certain limitations because it's also a shared platform, which is not dedicated to you. I think what can be set up together with your account team is that you can get a separate test tenant provided for you, which then has full capabilities for a certain amount of time, of course. But that can be usually done. Or you can join. Sometimes we offer kind of training hands-on sessions in certain regions, typically something we do at TechEd, but also there are other events during the course of the year from the user group organization sometimes, which offer these kind of hands-on sessions where you can have hands-on on a full-fledged system landscape and try things out, right? So there are multiple options there. I know the free trial is restricted to a certain extent. We're also planning on expanding that in a variety of dimensions, but currently it is like it is.
Great, thank you so much. So if I have a replication flow writing data to a local table in a DSP, what does that mean? That data is already stored in the object store as data table? Is there any additional process to sync the object store?
That's a good question, because that comes, if you remember earlier, I talked about these spaces, right? And spaces can be set up as HANA Cloud-based storage or with an object store storage. So it depends what kind of space you're working with. if you created an object store space, then the data of your replication flow sits in files in the object store, right, and can be reused from there. If you work with a HANA cloud-based space, then your storage is the HANA Cloud storage, and then it doesn't sit in the object store. So it depends a little bit what kind of setup you have in your replication scenario, where the data sits and how you can access it.
Great, thank you. I'm looking at the time. We have really many good questions. I'm afraid we will not be able to answer all of them.
I mean, we can
So
try
we'll,
to answer them after the session. Also, we can have a look and get as much of them answered, but maybe take a couple.
Yeah, definitely. Just wanted to warn, but we will definitely answer them. We will make a Q&A again in the comments area underneath this video. So is the Apache Spark compute runtime option already in general availability? How does that compare to HANA runtime?
Yeah, goes in a similar direction to what we just explained. So it depends on your space setup. If you pick an object store space type, then your runtime for this is Apache Spark, right? So that comes automatically with it. It's already GA for a little more over a year now as part of Datasphere. So it's an optional component. You could activate that as part of your flexible tenant configuration. So once you set up there your object store capacity, then you automatically get space capabilities for object store, including Apache Spark compute runtime, right? And which can be then leveraged for your data ingestion scenarios.
Great, thank you. The next one, standard CDS view is Delta enabled, but Delta load type is not showing up in replication flow in object store. Is there a solution or a workaround for this case?
Yeah, there is a very nice blog by my valued colleague Frank Riesner from Switzerland. He described these. There are certain settings in CDS views, right? And maybe for your specific one, you need to check if you have made all the right checkboxes, that this then shows up also as Delta enabled. So this is a blog on the SAP community page. Of course, I don't know the URL exactly out of my mind here, but if you search for it, Frank Riesner, we can also maybe post his name in the chat. I think then it's findable. And also, I think on the SAP help pages, there is some kind of help with regards specifically on the CDS type related question.
Great, thank you. Is BDC delivered with seamless planning per default, or does this need to be set up from the customer?
That is part of your SAC setup, right? And SAC can live as a standalone solution or as part of Business Data Cloud. It has one prerequisite, which seamless planning, that is, which is that your tenant is already moved or migrated to HANA Cloud, right? If that is done, then you can leverage seamless planning with or without a BDC setup. It's possible for both.
Great, thank you. Can all BW objects be data products?
All info providers of BW can become data products. So, for example, your composite provider can be a basis for a data product, or yeah, info objects, right? Yeah, for type of master data kind of data product. So if it's an info provider type, then these can become data products. But that's also quite nicely documented on SAP Help, and I'm sure Sandy covered it last time in her session. So feel free to have a look there, scroll forward, and I'm sure she will explain that.
Thank you very much. Looking at the time, you wanted to do a quick recap of the series. then let us do that quickly, and all questions will be answered in the chat. Thank you.
Let's do that. So let's summarize the session today, right? So what are the key takeaways? These data products and the setup with Business Data Cloud, that's really our strategic direction in the overall area of data analytics, of data and analytics at SAP, investing in these intelligent applications across the different lines of business. What's also important is that you can preserve your existing investments you might have already made into Datasphere, Analytics Cloud, or even BW or BW4 HANA, right? So you can take these systems either with rewiring or in the case of BW as part of a private cloud environment into such an overall stack. And last but not least, of course, these new options with data products in combination with these partner ecosystem we had it in the last couple of questions, right? So this expands really the use cases of data products with a variety of other systems you might already have in use at your company, right? So that's really a lot of additional benefits you can gain as such in such an overall setup. With that, we're at the end, Tania, and I hand it back to you.
KP, again, thank you so much for your excellent presentation and for answering all the questions, and also pre-thanks for the questions you will answer. And with this, a big thanks also to all attendees for joining. I hope you got a lot of value from the session and will get more value. The presentation will be available as usual in a couple of days on the landing page. And with this, I wish you a great day, a great evening, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.